Believe me, I know how frustrating it can be to enter the exam hall, give all the answers you know best, and then you come out of the hall, wait for results, and then the results keep coming back as C instead of an A. And I want to tell you the two biggest mistakes that students do, and this is why they are losing marks. To stick to the end because the second point is very, very important. The number one mistake that you're making that is costing you marks is that you are too stingy with your answers. You are too stingy with your answers. You go into the exam hall and then just give skeletal frameworks of the question of the answers, and then you expect to have an A. It won't work. Those are for C students. If you want to have an A in your exams, you will want to give answers that are solid and well articulated and written properly. So, for instance, let me give an example so that you understand. Now, for instance, if you are asked to define matter, matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space. But we can't just give this definition and leave it like that, especially when the mark that is allocated to this definition is 5 marks. If it's 2 marks, okay, maybe you can let it fly like that. But if it's 5 marks, you should know that you should add something else. Now, for instance, if I was to give this definition in my own exam, I would say matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space, and it can exist in 3 forms: the solid form, the liquid form, and the gaseous form. You can also go ahead to just give something little about the liquid state, the solid state, and the gaseous state, and then it goes. Now you can have your full 5 marks. Now, let me give another example. If you are asked what are the functions of living things, you can't just say irritability, movement, death, reproduction, and leave it like that. You won't get your full marks, especially when the marks allocated to this is something like maybe 12 marks or 16 marks or something like that. You will want to give little definitions under this subtopics. So, for instance, you will say irritability, you explain what irritability is. When you go to movement, you explain what movement is. When you go to death, you explain what death is as it relates to living things. When you go to reproduction, you explain what reproduction is as it pertains to living things. And that is the way you will get your full marks. And some of you even know the answers, like you know the explanation. So, why are you not giving it? What will you do with the remaining that you have in your brain? What will you do with it? So, just write it down and have your full marks. Because if you just list, and if the marks allocated to this is 16 marks, you're going to get only 4 over 16. And that is for a C grade because you've missed 12 marks already. And that is not what we want to do. We want to have our full marks so that we can have A. So please and please try as much as possible to give your answers some little more extra so that you can get your desired marks. Now, the second reason why most students are having C's instead of A's is that you are overzealous. Okay, sorry. I'll get to it. You are overzealous. In my place, they'll call it I too know or oversabi. You are overzealous. So what happens is that you are taught a course. There is a course content. There was a course outline, and then there is a course content. In fact, some of you were giving notes in class, some of you were giving handouts in class. And I understand that there are times where you want to, source for other materials to read just so that you can understand the course content properly. That is fine. But what you want to do is that when you get into the exam hall, make sure you start with what the lecturer taught you in class. Start with the course content. Now, if you go and then you're just writing things, I'm not saying you should not add other things to these definitions or the questions that we asked, but make sure you start with the course content. The reason is because these lecturers have marking scheme. And most exams have these marking schemes, and the marking schemes are submitted alongside the exam questions to the examiner or the exam office when they were setting the questions. So even before you answer those questions, there is a marking scheme on how to mark those questions. And a lecturer is not going to set a marking scheme out of what he taught you in class. So if you go and you are giving things that you watched on YouTube, you read somewhere, the lecturer did not read it. And don't forget that they have many scripts, especially if you're in a Nigerian university. There are many students in the universities and they have many scripts to mark. So you want to, as much as possible, give the lecturer what he taught you in class. When you're done giving him what he taught you in class, you can now add something else. Now, this might impress him to say, oh, this person went ahead to, understand this course content so much that he's even giving other examples. But you don't want to start on that roller coaster of going all and then you just rigmarole and give some answers. Then before you now come to give, I don't think any lecturer is that patient to wait and read everything to give you a mark. So, if, for instance, that question is a 5 marks, they just give you 2 and move because, okay, you took the time to fill your booklet. So let me know if this video helped you. Let me know in the comment section if you're either overzealous or you're too stingy with your answers. And also let me know if you have some difficulties with study so that I can provide solutions to those difficulties and make sure you come out with A. Do not forget, I had F9 and I was able to change systems around and I graduated with a first class and a master's in my 20s. So I can help you get those A's and have your first class. Bye.